2020 was a challenging year, but it strengthened us. In 2021, we will build forward stronger and better together.
Solid declaration from Prime Minister Andrew Holness, and with all on board, we certainly will. It's that time of day when we bring you stories making the news and features to keep you informed. We also have a review of the Ministry of Health and Wellness in 2020, all put together just for you inside Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome.
Informing.
Jamaica today confirmed its first imported case of coronavirus.
Educating.
If you follow the recommended procedures, it is highly likely that you will not get the disease.
Going beyond to keep you informed and connected.
Welcome to Get the Fact.
Even through the pandemic. Helping you stay safe while we protect ourselves. Dependable. Impactful. Accurate.
This is your JIS News.
Credible. Trustworthy. Every day, everywhere. Serving our customers proudly.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, January 7, 2021. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is asserting that no institution of the state should use or promote violence. In making the assertion, Mr. Holness says violence has become too much a part of the country's culture as a means of resolving conflict.
So the government has to be instrumental, deliberate and proactive in its message against violence. No institution of the state should use or promote violence. And that is why I have given clear policy direction to our security forces that we must use force without violence.
The Prime Minister was speaking at Wednesday's Heal the Family, Heal the Nation's National Day of Prayer service held at the Power of Faith Ministries in Portmore, St. Catherine. He also reiterated government's prohibition policy on corporal punishment and emphasized that gender-based violence should be dealt with urgently. Mr. Holness said the Violence Prevention Commission, chaired by Professor Maureen Sams Vaughan, would be examining all aspects of violence and ways to address them to ensure lasting solutions in the country. The commission, which is now operational, will seek to conduct a continuing comprehensive review of all existing public and private violence prevention programs, as well as the strategies of the government.
The commission is now fully provisioned with staffing. They have their terms of reference and they are operating. They will be coming back to the government after a comprehensive review.
The National Day of Prayer service was hosted by the Power of Faith Ministries International and the Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches under the theme, We Shall Be Victorious. The infrastructure to facilitate the production of digital birth certificates for Jamaicans is now 90% complete. This was disclosed by Warren Vernon, Program Director for the National Identification System, NIDS. He was responding to questions posed by members of the Joint Select Committee of Parliament on the NIDS legislation during its meeting on Tuesday. Mr. Vernon says the National Public Key Infrastructure (NPKI) project is expected to be completed by March, following the conclusion of certain processes. He says that with the NPKI in place, it is also expected that by March the project team should be in a position to launch Phase 1 of the initiative. This will involve allowing the public to go online and request a verified digital copy of their birth certificate. The National Public Key Infrastructure is part of the non-NIDS aspect of government's impending National Identification System, which seeks to create a unique, reliable, and secure way of verifying an individual's identity. The NPKI project will enable trusted electronic identities for people, services, and things, and make it possible to implement strong authentication, data encryption, and digital signatures based on a certifying authority. The National Land Agency, NLA, has launched an online platform for commissioned land surveyors to digitally submit their survey plans for examination and certification. It came online Monday and is applicable to survey plans with 10 or more lots. It will allow surveyors to monitor the status of their submissions, receive notification on the progress of their plans, and make the necessary corrections to the electronic version of their plans. The digital submission of survey plans and cadastral maps platform is expected to facilitate greater efficiency and use of resources. Senior Director of the Surveys and Mapping Division of the NLA, Dr. Glendon G. Newsom, says the platform will also aid in the build-out of a national digital cadastral map. Asserting that it is a game changer for the local surveying community, he says it will also facilitate a higher level of examination of plans, which should reduce discrepancies and ultimately an elimination of dual registration of properties. The Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport has gifted a bus to the Accompong Maroons to assist with transport challenges being faced by members of the historic community. Portfolio Minister Olivia Grange handed over the vehicle to the Colonel of the Accompong Town Maroons, Ferron Williams, on Monday. While expressing thanks for the gift, Colonel Williams said the bus would help Accompong to significantly cut costs. It will be used to transport members of the St. Elizabeth community, including performers and members of the leadership who have to attend important Maroon events across the island. The vehicle will also transport visitors on tours of the heritage-rich area and help to boost the economy of the community, particularly during special commemorations. And finally, the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, and the Ministry of Health are now taking steps to protect the wards at the Maxfield Park Children's Home after 12 caregivers were tested positive for COVID-19. Measures being implemented to protect those living and working at the facility include contact tracing and resensitizing staff on infection control measures and the need to maintain a COVID-free environment. The Maxfield Park Children's Home, located in Kingston, currently has 92 children and 80 caregivers. The public health team visited the facility in December and tested 74 caregivers and all the children. While none of the children returned positive results, 12 caregivers tested positive. They were all asymptomatic and have since been sent home to self-isolate, while arrangements have been made for the remaining caregivers to be tested. All exposed areas that were utilized by the positive staff members were sealed off and deep cleaning and sanitizing undertaken at the home. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, which monitors the home, says it continues to work with the Health Ministry to follow all necessary protocols and procedures across all children's homes. These include temperature checks conducted 3 times daily, identification of isolation space, sanitization stations placed at strategic points, and the mandatory wearing of masks. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Agriculture is critical to Jamaica's future. And while we battle COVID-19, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries continues to help our farmers and fisherfolk recover. We will focus on ensuring that Jamaica is food secure, expanding into new export markets, and building sustainable industries. We are building forward together.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness spent most of 2020 strengthening capacity to safeguard the country from the global COVID-19 pandemic. Let's recap those details, among others.
In 2020, the Ministry of Health and Wellness deployed multiple strategies to keep the country safe during a global pandemic, all while improving access to quality care in the public health sector.
It's about how we position ourselves to give the best possible service to Jamaicans who use our public health system.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness confirmed Jamaica's first case of COVID-19 on March 10. weeks after other countries were already seeing massive outbreaks.
As early as January 2020, the public health team began to develop protocols that would help to delay the entry of the virus into the country, contain its spread, and slow the transmission among the population.
The ministry spent $6 billion in its fight against this new virus. $775 million in financial support was given to health authorities to help their response efforts. There were infrastructural upgrades to the tune of more than $89 million. This included equipping hospitals with an additional 63 intensive care and high dependency units. One of 4 field hospitals was completed during the year to provide additional beds for COVID-19 patients. The National Health Fund financed more than $500 million worth of prescription drugs and introduced its home delivery service for clients 60 years and older. More than $1.7 billion was spent sourcing medical equipment, including ventilators for patients and personal protective equipment (PPEs. There was an increase in the deployment of health personnel. A 3-year technical cooperation agreement was also signed with the Cuban government, which saw a cadre of healthcare specialists from that island coming to help the COVID fight. Another critical component of the response was testing, and 2 locations were set up for conducting the gold standard PCR test, while antigen testing was introduced as a pilot in 9 public health facilities as a faster and less costly method.
This is a very good and meaningful development for testing in the country.
Government also worked with local labs to begin administering both the PCR and antigen tests later in the year. Early in the outbreak, travel restrictions were imposed to limit imported cases, and when the ports were eventually reopened, it came with strict regulations, including pre-testing and a mandatory 14-day quarantine for visitors. The country was also praised by the international health agencies for its critical use of contact tracing and active field surveillance to quickly identify and suppress new cases, including community clusters. As the situation evolved, the ministry developed and guided the execution of over 50 COVID-19 safety protocols under the Disaster Risk Management Act. And with an eye to the future, a COVID-19 recovery plan was developed, as well as an implementation plan for the rollout of any vaccine approved for use in Jamaica. The Ministry of Health and Wellness also targeted resources to the management of other viral public health threats in 2020. Approximately 3,000 doses of the flu vaccine were sourced for high-risk groups free of cost. To get dengue fever numbers under control, early in the year, 36 communities were selected for intervention under a national dengue cleanup exercise. 60 new vector control vehicles, foggers, and other equipment costing approximately $400 million were bought to support the interventions.
Today represents another tangible manifestation of the renewal of public health in Jamaica.
In January, the ministry accelerated a program to upgrade the infrastructure of 13 health facilities as part of the IDB-funded $50 million health system strengthening program. The European Union also committed €10 million towards its implementation.
Tackling not only the badly needed physical upgrade of 3 hospitals and 10 health centers, but also the purchase of new equipment to support the delivery of care and the design and implementation of information systems.
Meanwhile, ground was broken for the construction of the Buff Bay Health Center in Portland, and a new health center was opened at Browns Hall in St. Catherine, costing $24 million. Under the Program for the Reduction of Maternal and Child Mortality (PROMAC), 4 maternal and neonatal high dependency units were constructed.
It is giving mother and child care in our country a significant boost.
Also, a contract was signed for the procurement and installation of a neurosurgical microscope, specially adapted for surgeries involving the brain and spinal cord at the Kingston Public Hospital. A $262 million grant agreement was signed between the governments of Jamaica and Japan to purchase a range of medical equipment and supplies, and bandwidth was increased for the Kingston Public and Victoria Jubilee hospitals, ensuring high-speed transfer of scanned images and lab tests. Government's efforts to upgrade public health infrastructure was also supported by the Adopt a Clinic initiative in 2020.
The adoption is a way to engage the community in being a part of the delivery of public health to that very community.
To protect its investments in public health and the persons who use the spaces, the ministry signed contracts with 5 companies to upgrade security protocols at facilities managed by the Southeast Regional Health Authority. When re-elected Prime Minister, Andrew Holness named a new cabinet. Minister Tufton retained his portfolio responsibility, while Juliet Cuthbert Flynn was appointed Minister of State. She was assigned several areas of responsibility, including maternal health, HIV prevention, and the wellness agenda. In October, the new state minister signed a $3.6 million cooperation agreement with the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It was to support the national HIV response strategies and refocus and reprioritize key actions towards meeting the UNAIDS 1990 targets.
For the first year of the agreement, some of these priority actions will include development of the digital HIV/AIDS confidential reporting form and validation of the data, which indicates that 90% of all people living with HIV know their HIV status.
Efforts to have more persons tested for HIV/AIDS was boosted with the addition of a mobile testing unit. As part of the wellness agenda, the Tobacco Control Bill was tabled in Parliament to help address the epidemic of non-communicable diseases, NCDs. The ministry also launched a $100 million public-private partnership program, offering free access to care and testing at private physicians for 5,000 patients having ailments such as diabetes and hypertension. A $1.1 billion contract was signed to meet the dietary needs of patients and health staff at the Kingston Public and Victoria Jubilee hospitals, and a $74 million staff welfare program was launched.
The objectives are to increase staff morale, reduce the effects of burnout, build staff capacity within facilities, and boost the overall effectiveness and efficiency of service delivery.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness, keeping Jamaica on a healthy path in 2020, while laying the foundation for the country to build back stronger from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Now tell me, say the boy beat you again. Me tell you figure report it, you know. Who you afraid of?
Everybody go do my business and me no want that.
You see the new police station, them have some room where you can talk to the officer in a private.
Project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct PROC is coming to your community. PROC will provide new or renovated police stations with up-to-date technology, increased and improved mobility, and a safe and efficient environment for both police and citizens.
We're still not out of the woods with COVID-19. Up next, members of the public share what we can do to control the spread.
Definitely prayer unto God, because we're wearing masks, we're sanitizing for some persons, but it's still spreading. So this needs divine intervention, and it takes prayer and fasting.
We can practice the right protocols and help each other. If you see someone that's not doing it, say to them, yes, come, we can do it. And ask them to follow the protocols.
Just follow protocols and work by what the government say.
Our trained employees will go into adjacent communities to their hotels and to ensure that they train the communities in simple procedures. I mean, hand washing, social distancing, mask wearing, and sanitization. Because we believe those 4 pillars are critical to managing the COVID virus, not only in hotels, but of course in the communities.
We at the ministry are finding the value in a smile and a nod, and recommend it highly to all who may be guided. So the ministry is also recommending observance and encouraging observance of all other reasonable measures to minimize possible exposure to the virus.
Up next, farmers of the agri-parks share how they got started with support from the Agri-Investment Corporation and the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA.
Leasing government land. I benefited from being in a group experience, which I would not be able to get were I just an independent operator. You're able to bounce off things on your colleague farmers. You're able to get all kinds of information and advice and guidance from the park manager and the support team at the head office, specifically like marketing. They were able to help me tremendously with that when I went into the crop, my very first crop, and I didn't know where to turn.
Agri-Investment Corporation is the agribusiness facilitation arm of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. We were set up to facilitate large-scale investment in agriculture in Jamaica, given the importance of agriculture to Jamaica's economy, particularly as it relates to employment, food security, and exports. The agri-park concept is framed this way, in which the government laid down the infrastructure, including irrigation, drainage, quality management systems, and technical support, and allow the farmers to make the investment on these lands, which are the most capable in Jamaica, to secure the best opportunity for outcomes.
Good afternoon.
Our investment officers, upon the discovery of business opportunities, will help the farmers to develop their business plans. And these business plans will be assessed for their technical merits and integrity. And then we'll allocate the kinds of land, the land in the right location with the right soil type and physical attributes that best match with the kind of production that will be taking place.
To lease available lands from Agri-Invest, you need to fill out an application form and submit it along with your ID and proof of your capacity to invest.
Agri-park investors continue to impact Jamaica's economy in a very visible and impactful way. We have 150 investors on the 5 parks today that are spending around about $2 billion of investment each year in the park and generating over £2 million of produce each year, going into different market chains locally and export as well. Plus they're hiring about 200 persons on a consistent basis, including 80 women. So the parks are impacting the economy in a very positive and significant way in food security, in export promotion, in economic growth, and in job creation.
It's great because financially it helped me out a lot. I have 5 kids to send to school, so it's very helpful. Normally I was at home doing nothing.
As a female farmer, you're not taken seriously initially, right? So you have to push and push to find different links, talk to different persons. And that was how I was introduced to Princess Lee, which is the agri-park manager from Amity Hall. She taught me how to do the plan for the farm and different techniques, different strategies and so on. She worked with me to develop everything, and then she showed me an area where I could work. So from there we did soil tests and so on. I took the procedure 2 different steps, and right away we got started on the land.
You're coming into an environment where you'll be getting a lot of technical support. We have a strong group at Amity that helps to foster production by working together. We have a group of investors that are willing to work together to get the produce from the farm to the fork. They work with us to ensure that the food is safely produced and sent to our customers, and they work with us to ensure that best practices are adhered to on the farm as it relates to agriculture.
We're appealing to farmers to take advantage of the opportunities in Jamaica and in agriculture. The Jamaica brand is very strong, our products are very, very high quality, and we need to have more farmers investing in agriculture to grow the economy. When agriculture grows, the economy grows. When agriculture grows, inflation goes down. When agriculture grows, rural unemployment goes down.
For more information regarding agricultural land leases, call 876-923-9268 or visit the Office of Agri-Investment Corporation at 188 Spanish Town Road, Kingston.
with integrity. Recover with integrity. We should all work together. One aim, one vision in the fight against corruption. There is no division. United with the Integrity Commission. Let's stand up and make a healthy decision that we will not turn a blind eye. We will not lead secret lives. We will not accept no bribes. We will not push values aside.
A message from the Integrity Commission.
Over 100 schools and communities approved for broadband internet connectivity. Thousands of tablets distributed to students to facilitate online learning, and more than 20,000 teachers trained to use the National Learning Management System. Look out for these and other major accomplishments in the 2020 Year in Review for the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. That's Friday, January 8 in your favorite Jamaica Magazine program.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.